As we approach the 2023 election scheduled for February 25th of next year, 2022, most Nigerians are asking numerous questions which seem to border on the novel provisions of the 2022 Electoral Act and specific innovations that will guarantee a credible poll. However, since the 2022 Electoral Act remains the governing law that will guide INEC's preparations in the deployment of its innovations for a credible election, what then is the role of other personnel of key institutions of state, apart from the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC? Joining us now on issues bordering on the electoral process in Nigeria ahead of the 2023 elections is Mike Igini, the immediate past commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission, who for a period of 10 years had served in several states of Cross River, Edo, and Akwa Ibom, and who also carried out several election intervention missions in Imo, Anambra, Osun, and other states. Welcome to the show, Mr. Mike Igini.
Good morning, Dr. Abati, and my very good friend, Rufai, for having me. And good morning, Nigerians.
Well, it's very good to see you again. On Saturday, I had the privilege of attending an event with you where you were honored for your contributions to the making of Nigeria. Some people make their own contributions to the unmaking.
Yes.
I think we can say that you have made significant contributions to the making of Nigeria, through your interventions in the electoral process. And now you are here. And on that occasion, you were honored by the United Action for Change. We are told that you have retired, but you made it very clear that no, you are too young to retire. But it's good to have you here.
Thank you.
And for us to have the benefit of your views.
All right.
Let's start with the Electoral Act 2022.
Well, first, thank you very much, Dr. Abati and Rufai. And I also want to use the opportunity very quickly to thank the management of Arise, the chairman, our own, and the Duke of Delta, Nduka Bagbena, for what he accorded myself and the people of Akwa Ibom at the fourth Sandwell ceremony in Akwa Ibom when Arise came to cover the event. So a big thanks to entire management of Arise. Now, with respect to the issue that we have just highlighted, and I hope we have time to be able to interrogate quite a number of them. First, I want to put it out there that I have served for 10 years in INEC, and I have been part of those who've been privileged to put together some of the procedures and processes that today are going to be used for the 2023 election. So in that respect, even though I'm no longer there, my responsibility by way of the Office of the Citizen is going to be very active towards 2023, is to join hands with other Nigerians in partnership and not partisanship for the purpose of saying that we have good elections by 2023. Particularly by doing what J.F. Kennedy said years ago at the time of the signing into law, the Freedom of Information Bill, when he told the American people that democracy gets better when the people get the information that they need to get. After my leaving INEC, and I was out of the country for a little respite, I read quite a number of things going on. And of course, we trust politicians with their shenanigans that toward 2023, there will be misinformation, disinformation. There will be an effort to want to delegitimize the process such that aim at discouraging Nigerians from coming out to come and vote. Particularly given the fact that we are seeing something that is unequal in the history of our country, the level of enthusiasm, the awareness by the Nigerian people who are ready to come and vote in 2023. And that is why it's very necessary for me to give this little background as I go into the specific issue that people need to know. Because of the fact that right now in the country, we all can feel the level of anger in the country at the moment. Nobody should take Nigerians for granted. There's anger in the country. There's anger by Nigeria outside this country. And so if 2023 is an opportunity for them to express themselves, I think that nobody should do anything to to undermine that. So against that bracket, I want to say that for me, the role I want to play, the Office of the Citizen is going to be very active in these weeks and months ahead in the next, before the election, is to educate Nigerians on the ABC of the electoral process. What will happen at polling units? What will happen at the World Collation Center? The local government at all levels of collations that Nigerians need to know. We respect, and again, thank the National Assembly. With the 2022 Electoral Act that have been passed to secure series of innovations in INEC that are intended to give meaning and purpose to the ballot as the best means of expression of the will of the people in a democracy, particularly as it has to do with leadership recruitment, because everything rises and falls with leadership. If we get the leadership question right in Nigeria, the speed with which we attain that aspiration we've been told when we're much younger, that we have great potential, that Jeff Kennedy said that in 12 years' time, as at 1960, Nigeria will be like America. So this is what I tend to do. So fundamentally, I want to make a very strong appeal to other stakeholders in democratic process. I mean the judiciary. Listen to some of your headlines. I want to appeal to the security agencies, and indeed in this respect, I want to acknowledge something, because when you acknowledge what somebody has done well, or an institution, you are basically reinforcing the kind of behavior you want to see again. I want to acknowledge the Inspector General of Police that since he came on board, since September before the Edo governorship election and all the elections that we have conducted, we have seen a remarkable departure in terms of election security. And of course, political parties, candidates, civil society, the media, that we must be very careful to make sure that what we are going to do for this election, we are through with it. So fundamentally, the rule of law is very key here. Everybody must obey the law governing the election. The 2022 Electoral Act has a total of 153 provisions, out of which the Commission, following what we'll be trying to do, overturn the proposal from 2011 to 2022, made a total of 91 proposals, out of which 48 were accepted by the National Assembly. And we thank them. And containing this are the following provisions as I go into the specific of what will happen at polling unit. The issue about Vivas, the issue about hacking, we need to know the truth about, or the falsehood about those things. One is that Section 49 of the previous act repeal has changed. What you now have is Section 47. That 47 has made the polling unit the center of universe, where who becomes what will be determined, where election will be won and lost. Is no longer possible except for compromise, and what the Commission have done by way of procedure is to make it difficult for anybody to rig the election. And so at the polling unit, you have Section 47, which says, unlike Section 49, the previous act, that says that once a voter comes to the polling unit, he presents a PVC, and upon being satisfied, I put that up to you, can even highlight it, underline upon being satisfied, that is the presiding officer. What satisfies a presiding officer? That the person who was actually before you is actually the owner or the holder of that PVC. That is what politicians have used to rig election over the years. The old Section 47 and 49, that has changed to now Section 47, which now says that we must be an objective criteria to determine who is actually presenting that before you. Okay. So that's number one.
Okay. You want to enunciate because I have a lot of questions to ask in
that right.
Yeah. So at first, what are those things needed for the electoral officer to satisfy that the person that is coming to vote is genuinely the person. Because, and I want to relate this to the alarm clock raised about stay some parts in Imo,
yes,
in Olu local government area. And the talk about what used to happen in the past, that things like thumbprints, all sorts of fictitious names on the voters register, even as much as using palm kernel to do thumbprints in some areas. So tell me about all the gamut of all of that.
Thank you. Again, that is now why the polling unit remains the center of the universe. First, it has to, the issue raised, first and foremost, has to do with the credibility of the register of voter. A credible register is the foundation of any credible election. The process is more important than any other thing. Outcome will be determined by the people. Now, what the CU people raised, and we commend them for being vigilant. All right? And that's why the commission itself acknowledged and not be dismissive in the response that was very detailed, all right, and exhaustive. If you look at what we are having on the screen right now, and please, I want to beg Nigerians that as we are going forward, social media, mainstream media, don't be carried away by headlines. You've got to go into detail, because what the COP member said is something that is within the capacity of INEC, has already been dealt with. Now, what you have, which I want you to explain what the COP member said as regards the credibility of the register about names. If you look at that data, at the moment, INEC has a system which is an advance from the APs. What you now have is what they call the automatic biometric identification system. That's what you have in INEC now. In such a way and manner that all registrants, multiple, invalid, as was the case referred to, where they said names of foreigners were generated or names were being matched in order to populate the voter register. Like the commission responded that over 3,000, even on that area they mentioned, have already been weeded out. Now, the infograph that you just seen there, before we left the commission in January, you will find that if you look at all the state of the federation, 36 states of the federation, before, these were the data that we had, the first data of those who registered. But by the time INEC now run the AB system, you can go to the second information there. You will find out that most of the information that most of the registrants, both invalid, those who don't have their correct multiple, were all weeded out. To the extent that, for instance, if you look at, if you can highlight it very well, you see valid, this is invalid. Now, what you find was that at the end of the ABs, which is what is going to happen with the last phase of INEC registration, most of those things will be out. When INEC did this in January, it didn't tell Nigerians. We're also very careful of information overload, because the INEC has the capacity to deal with it. So it was good that that issue was raised. But from the infographic you see there, you find out that all of them will be out. And I think one or two examples is very important. For example, in Akwa Ibom, and you can check all other states here, you can share this to Nigerians to tell you that whatever politicians are planning to do, because I can't see very well here, I just want to refer to Akwa Ibom, where at the, when you had the first registration, the total figures that you will find in that data, all right, 91,000 registration. But after ABs, what was the figure left? Go to the other table, you will find out that all of those figures, they dropped dramatically. That is to show you.
And they've cleared out most of these things.
All of them, you could see all of them, they are out. To the extent that Anambra, for instance, before the Anambra election, it has a total of how many? Over almost 100,000 were all weeded out. So you could see that in Akwa Ibom, for instance, you had 91,541 completed. But after APs, everything came out to what you call 46,000. 607. So what was invalid was over 49.1%. Nigeria can see the entire data. This one can clearly assure Nigerians.
No, so but what Nigerians want to know is how did even all these fictitious names, like Michael Jackson, get into the voter register? Is this not going back to the days of Jega that we had voter register where you had Bobby Brown, Michael Jackson, and all of those people? How did they even get in now with all of the technologies?
Good. Now, let me say this here. The process, you see, you could generate names, all right? But you require the biometric of the individuals. All of the ones that the COP referred to, they do not even have biometric. You can have names. You can take pictures. In fact, there's one I would have sent to you. Somebody who have got to the level of a directorship in 2019. He had photographed from a photographer shop or pictures, and what he was doing was to be using the system to snap that. That was before 2019.
Did INEC sanction that man?
Of course, you should know, under my watch, that cannot happen. As I speak to you, he has lost that position. All right? It can't happen. So, with respect to register, every issue raised by COP, not we have, you can see, this was somebody who have attained the position of a director. This was what the person did. Again, with this other PVC you are seeing now, the reason why you are seeing today that people are dumping permanent voters card in different places in Nigeria is because the system has changed. Section 47 has changed that situation right now. So why you now leave the level of the register? So everything done in Imo, over 3,000 is already out. By the time the commission is through, it's going to give you the entire figure. So that's respect to that. Now, the question is, why are those, they're also going to the court to take a legal suit to stop the use of beavers? They want to return the country back to the manual situation. All right? But the point I needed to complete with respect to that generation of foreign names is that today, if you fill online form to get a visa or to have your passport, you still have to physically go to the offices to give your biometric. That's why everything they have done is invalid. And then they have captured them. And finally, on that point, in Akwa Ibom, before I left office, today it's no longer youth corpers that are registering people in INEC. It is INEC staff. You must use a personal ID to do that. At Ukanafon, a local government in Akwa Ibom, the staff was registering ineligible individuals from the back end in Abuja, and this is across the 36 state. They got the person, they stopped it without reaching out to me, but I was not informed to summon the staff to my office. And so the way INEC is doing things right now, before I left, this is what it is. All the things you are hearing, they are not going to work. So by going to court, it is to ensure that they can get an order. Once you get an order that we should not use beavers, then we are back in their work thinking to manual. Now, my concern about judiciary in this respect is this. People have asked, is that not possible? It is possible for one of us in the judiciary to give such an order. Remember that the decree that said in 1992 that no court in the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall give an order for stopping the holding of election. What happened? Justice Ikpeme, in the night, granted an order. That was where the problem of June 12 started. But I warn, Nigerians are waiting to make a decision in 2023. Any lawyer, because it will start with a lawyer going to court to file a process, I would have thought by now that those lawyers who use their official stamp for that process that they are already disowning right now, the NBA disciplinary committee should immediately invite those lawyers to come and explain how they went to file a process, pay the requisite fee in court, yet they are disowning it. It means that there are people within my judiciary, within my constituency, the judiciary, and I'm very worried. I mean, I saw one of your headlines about how the courts have taken over issue about primaries, and that speaks to the expanding empire of the court in political matter to fill a void that ought to have been filled by politics.
Mr. Igini, I think you've made a very strong case, for the introduction of technology, for beavers, for ABs, for INEC. Okay, but look, all of these reforms that the Electoral Act 2022 will seem to be suggesting will also depend on the behavior of the politicians. And recently we had a National Peace Accord that was organized under the auspices of the National Peace Committee led by General Abdulsalami Abubakar, the Sultan of Sokoto, Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, Femi Otodola, Aliko Dangote, and others who were involved in that. Of what value is that? Does it have legal authority or is it just moral suasion? How important is that? Do you think these politicians have bought in, into this idea of a reform to ensure peace and to ensure efficiency and transparency?
Dr. Abati, first, I want to acknowledge the caliber of the people we have in that committee and who they are in terms of their social standing, what they represent, particularly like the former president and our own Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka. But however, as you noted, it is not of legal authority. It's more of moral suasion. That given the caliber of people they are, and the need for us to have a peaceful election, that whatever that the candidates have come to append their signature to, it will be followed. But the truth of the matter is that the issue about violence, the misbehavior you are going to see, will not necessarily come from those who came to sign this document. It's going to come from their supporters. And that's why it's important, because we thank God we have a standing committee. When we have a situation like this in Ghana in 2016, Obieze Ekwesili from the World Bank, our former chairman was nominated by ECOWAS, and I was also privileged to be nominated by the Republican Institute and NDI to be on a mission to have meeting with Kofi Annan and Rawlings, Kufuor Nana Addo, and the current president of Ghana. And we all had to sit together to speak to them that Ghana has crossed some democratic threshold that must not be regressed. In the same vein in Nigeria, you see, the ill of democracy can only be cured by more democracy. We have made some level of progress. It is our appeal that first we must avoid the violence of the tongue. In this campaign that have been flagged off, we expect that messages from the candidates who have signed the accord, from their supporters or their spokesmen, must be messages that encapsulate the principle of decency, messages that speaks to the key issues that matter to the Nigerian people, message that create a positive, realistic image of what 2023 and beyond will be and how they will do it. Because 2023 is not about I will do this, I will do this. No, it is more about how will you do it. It's what you need to tell the Nigerian people now. We want messages that promote mutual benefit and mutual accommodation. That is what is expected from them. So we hope that the leaders will speak to their supporters. And that is why places like in Ghana, and let's talk about Ghana, even in Kenya here, a campaign manager of any candidate is held responsible, including the candidate himself. And that's why in England, following the Ballot Act of 1872 and that of the Corrupt and Illegal Parties Act, and followed by the one of 1883, a president or a candidate in an election whose campaign manager, gives money, that candidate will be held accountable because you are expected to do so. And that's why on the 4th of March 2013, I was in Kenya. I was in Kenya with Professor Jega and another team. A campaign manager of a candidate was found with money, vote buying. He was arrested on the 4th. On the 5th, he was arraigned in court immediately and was sentenced and was convicted and sentenced to 3 years imprisonment. The second day, election was still ongoing. What happened in our country here? The problem here is about the rule of law. People were arrested during a Edo election. People were arrested during the Anambra election. Anambra election. People were arrested during the Osun and Ekiti election. Nobody has been tried. The rule of law is a problem we have in our country today. If we are able to deal with the issue about rule of law, it will be well with our country.
All you these admirers of Kenya and other places, but you were instrumental to ensuring that at least one, was it electoral commissioner, was jailed.
A professor.
Things also happen here if people make the effort.
You know,
Ruben, don't go too far to Kenya.
I agree with you because mine is a case of ethical island in the Sea of Skundre.
Okay.
Mine is a case of an ethical island. Just one person.
Okay.
All right? And as we speak today, one or the other professor is still there. We are not getting the kind of cooperation we need. Look, Ruben, let me say this here. The trinity of these three institutions will take Nigeria to a different level, which are INEC, judiciary, and security. These three arms, three institutions can change the trajectory of election in Nigeria, such that when something happens that INEC is not able to deal with for negligence or otherwise, judiciary should be able to stand tall and mighty in defense of democracy and the rule of law. But what we are seeing right now, from some of the judgment we are seeing of the outcome of primaries, I have my worry, and I'm calling my colleagues that if only you know what politicians say about us, lawyers, because a judge is first and foremost a lawyer before being a judge. Judiciary, my colleagues in the bench, stand tall and mighty in defense of democracy and the rule of law. It's not about the ruling party in the state at the center, but it's about democracy and the rule of law.
Mr. Igini, the last time you were here, you talked about the Akpabio case.
Yes.
Judgment has been given on that case. I would like your comments on that. Secondly, another issue is the transmission of results.
Correct.
We had a case in Osun where they said there was a particular polling unit that they didn't have data to transmit the results or send it across. Please tell us what to look out for. What should a voter do after he waits for his vote to be counted? Should he ensure that the results are transmitted by the polling officer before he leaves? Just even tell us, what does a voter do? You get there, you get accredited, you cast your vote. What else should you do? Should you wait behind all the things? Let us know and talk about the Akpabio case.
Thank you very much. This is the kernel of what I have said will be my office of my citizen we're going to be engaged with toward 2023. And I'm very happy you asked this question. Please, the Nigerian people, don't be discouraged by deliberate falsehood that are going to put out there to discourage you, particularly those who are for the first time. I know of some colleagues in this country who I never knew, never registered before, but they all registered, they want to vote now. At the polling unit, this is what you need to know, to be empowered, that nothing anybody can do. Power, hope is reborn in you, Nigerians, with the current system. At the polling unit profile, first, presiding officer, you'll be there. Voter, when you come, you present your PVC. Now, to identify a voter now under section 47, unlike section 49, it is different. We have about 5 methods of identifying a voter now. You come with your PVC. We can use the barcode. Once the barcode is put on the system, it will pull out your detail because we have the soft copy of the hard copy beside you in the beavers. It will pull out the individual. Once it pull out the individual, with that, we can now want to authenticate. Your biometric must be authenticated. All right? Once your biometric is authenticated, if for any reason we are not able to authenticate your biometric, what about your face? And that's why you call it's a bimodal process. Both either your fingers or your face, your iris. If we cannot get your, what about your face? It cannot change. That's why in the course of registration, we ask that you take a picture that is stilled. Then take a picture that you are going to smile. We did all of that. Then 2, we can now use what you call the QR of the hard copy that is there to identify you. Every Nigerian has what you call a V number. You will find it in your PVC, unique to you. Just as a student, you have your matriculation number, unique to you until you graduate. That number will never change as long as you are alive.
So there's a VIN number.
The VIN number.
Do you have your PVC here so that probably if you can
show
them?
I will want to give me a PVC.
Yeah,
so you see the
PVC.
PVC, you are going to see the VIN number.
Yeah.
Now you can also use what you call your surname. Again, on this matter, there are things I will not say now. After 2023, with respect to this particular issue, that's what we will tell Nigerians. Because the Commission have put in a lot of things to deal with historical challenges of election service delivery. Now, at the polling, once that is done, as confirmed, we are given a ballot paper, and we have to deal with the issue about vote buying. You go to the cubicle. After you go to the cubicle, you make a choice of who you want to be. You fold it. You fold it and you bring it openly in the ballot. At the end of the poll, the presiding officer is going to do what? Do the sorting, the counting. Now, you must know the right of a party agent. Every party agent in the 176,846 polling unit that we now have, 176,846 polling unit that we have now, you are entitled under section 61 of the Act, 2022 Electoral Act, to make a demand for a recount. We are talking about accountability process now. Now, under section 60, the presiding officer will enter the course of the party. Then he will stamp it. He will sign, countersign. Then he will issue the duplicate to the party agent so that we can address the issue about hacking or not hacking, and issue about lack of data or no lack of data. He will issue the duplicate to everybody. So I will give you, I am the presiding officer, I give you the duplicate, I give it to Dr. Abati, you have your duplicate on the form EC8A. Now Nigerians must demand that the requirement, which of course the staff will be trained, that forms EC60E, the people's, what we call people from EC8A, must, if it's a polling unit, by the time I'm leaving, that same result must be pasted here on this particular, so that public, those who have gone, can come back later and check the result. Thereafter, under section 60, subsection 5, very important.
And should people take a picture of it, because you know once you paste some people go and tear
absolutely
it. So take a picture
absolutely
of it. Absolutely.
The presiding officer will use the beavers to now take the original construct or the original content. He will have to upload the compulsory under section 60 subsection 5 to the cloud. You see, people talk, you know, the language or the act is a transfer. Or some people say transmission. Whichever you call it, what we do is to send to the cloud. Except you have ladder that can go to the cloud to hack it. Good luck to you. Now, beautifully, to give account, if you can show it up there, I've shown something to demonstrate to you from polling unit A, B, C, D in that order. Now, let us demonstrate it with 3 of us seated here. I am the presiding officer. I have given the duplicate to you. Will anybody hack the duplicate that I've given to you?
Okay.
Immediately, now about just to close on that point, is that all political party, go and set up your situation room. You don't need to wait for INEC.
Okay.
Send, Abati, you send.
We have very limited time now.
Right.
So we need to just wrap it up.
Okay.
Now, I would like you to talk about the electoral pyramid.
Yes.
You know, how that works.
Yes.
And then to also, as briefly as possible, address the concern that has been raised about the hacking of the INEC web resources. Because the chairman of INEC himself alluded to that with regard to the Ekiti Osun governorship polls.
Yes.
How do we prevent that? Because we can do all of this. If somebody is going to hack into it from Asia or elsewhere, then it means the whole exercise is in futility.
Thank you very much. I think I take this one before I take the last one, because more important is this particular one about the will of the people. And that's why I made that appeal before the Nigerian. Please listen very carefully. I was not in the country, but I read it. The chairman, what is said to assure the Nigerian people have been grossly misrepresented. In fact, what he did was to assure Nigerians that they have only been sustaining an effort to attack the system. And I've also said that over time, go and check all my interviews. What the chairman said at an event, talking about how technology, how the law has brought improvement in what you call election result management on election day. What is make reference for that? All the effort within Nigeria failed woefully. In Edo State, let me add, they tried to do so, they failed. In Anambra, they failed. In Ekiti, they failed. In Osun, they failed. And they will fail because if you look at, by the time you proceed to the Work Collection Center, section 64, subsection 4, is to the effect that as it is today, as a presiding officer, the work relation officer, which is Rufai, your humble self at local government, you don't need to talk to me. Once I upload into the cloud, in the original content, everybody can see it. Rufai would have seen the result. Woe betide, not me now, any corrupt person, presiding officer who goes to Rufai. Rufai will ask, where did you get the result? Because I have seen the result here, different from that. In the same way, you, Dr. Abadi, at the local government, applicable to all the levels and other. So Nigerians, look, power has been restored to you. It is you to make that determination. On the issue about the pyramid of election day duty shows to you that the conduct of election is a multi-stakeholder responsibility. That in fact and indeed, INEC officials are in absolute minority on election day. In fact, on that day, they are mere supervisors. Because as you could see, the headquarters is Abuja. The state, the material will take it to the state. Then at the local government, you have what you call the EOs. From the SPO down to the other level, who are the people in charge? They are Nigerian. And interestingly, to also capture the enthusiasm of Nigerian people right now, the young people who are up and down, and we hope this time around the energy will be well directed, are going to be the one in charge of the polling unit. So we want to hope that all that they are talking about, they want to do, that they will not be compromised at that level. And in any case, the compromise is made difficult now because of the stages of accounting process. Section 70 talk about step by step. That was what the chairman of INEC referred to, assuring Nigeria that despite this sustained effort, they failed. And in any case, physically, I do not be attacking INEC offices. You see that all the time. Attack will come. But what is important, and what I'm telling Nigerians, is that the commission that I have worked for 10 years have the capacity to deal with all the issues, because the duplicate given to each party agent cannot be hacked by anybody.
Okay, quickly.
That is the beauty of the system.
We need to go.
Yes.
They say you have been retired.
Yes.
Are you tired?
The point is that a young man of 55 years cannot be said to be somebody who could be retired, because retirement is 35 years for those who have put in 35 by career process, progression, or those who have attained the age of 60. I have not attained, I'm far below 60. So I am not tired. Why would I be tired? When we have a major project for our country, where I have made it my position very clear. Mine is absolute neutrality. Some of the things we put in place, I think, are going to be implemented now. Neutrality, I'll be in partnership with Nigeria and not partisanship, to ensure that 2023, we have a society, have leaders, because election is what compelled politicians to pay attention to the people, so that we can have a society where we ourselves should be proud of, and to give to our generation yet unborn, whose faces we are yet to see. Many of whose we may never know. All of whom, in their own time, should say that in our own time, we left behind for them a heritage of hope, which means a society where there will be opportunity for all and responsibility from all.
On that note, Mr. Mike Igini, retired but not tired INEC Electoral Commissioner, would like to thank you for your service to Nigeria and for your continued commitment.